Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Petit Mouchoir on the inner, held together. Darvasar is challenging. Epatante slipstreaming, waiting to pounce. Then Super Sunday Le Patriot. Silos Emery up the inner in the purple and yellow, and then Sharjah from the rear in a pink jacket. They turn their heads for home, a quarter mile to go. Want to jump in the champion hurdle. It's Darvasar in the centre who's come through the lead, but Epatante covers the move. Here's Sharjah down the near side, joining in the final flight. Epatante jump to the front, goes on by a length from Darvasar. Sharjah now launching his challenge on the near side, halfway up the running. Epatante is in front, and she's not for catching, driven out by Barry Geraghty. It's a birthday winner for JP McManus as Epatante shakes the champion hurdle, and it's a record-breaking festival success for Nicky Henderson.
Yes, that was Epatante with Barry Geraghty on board, winning the champion hurdle on day one of Cheltenham. John Duggan standing by. Good evening.
Joe and Damien, how are we?
We are very well. Let's start with the champion hurdle then. We played some of your interview with Barry Geraghty. He was delighted. You could see that when he went over the finishing line as well, punching the air. For him, that's personal success. That's his fourth time winning the race, which puts him level with Tim Maloney and Ruby Walsh. And then, you know, it's a funny thing, as open as this race was when we talked about it in advance, very familiar sight in JP McManus taking the spoils. So talk to us about this one.
Well, it's his 69th birthday today, JP McManus, so happy birthday, JP. And Epatante flopped in the mare's hurdle last year, a novice hurdle. But apart from that, her runs have been excellent. She was really good at Kempton at Christmas. She scooted clear of the field that day. And it's pretty much the same today. It was an easy win for her. She was really in the driving seat behind the leading horses like Darvasar in the race. And then Barry just had to push the button, and he was thrilled to push the button, and she powered up the hill and on softish heavy ground. It was a great performance. Sharjah ran well behind Epatante to be second for Willie Mullins, and Darvasar third. So Irish horses second and third. But even though Epatante is English trained by Nicky Henderson, Irish jockey, Irish owner, there's definitely an emerald tinge to the win. But she got an allowance in the race of a few pounds in the champion hurdle. But a good win for Epatante. And like, it's a case that sometimes course form, you can rule a horse out because of it, which I did definitely with Epatante. But sometimes you can also forgive a horse a bad run, which is what the punters that backed it into 2-1 got their just desserts and their reward today.
This was dismissed in advance as being the worst quality champion hurdle in years, really. So did Epatante do anything that was impressive enough to change the feeling about this race, or did it kind of live up to expectations?
She'd be seen as an average winner of an average race, but an above average winner of an average race is the way I would describe it.
Okay.
She won it easily, but you know, I was speaking to Conor O'Dwyer last week. If you put her in remember the Brave Incas, the Hardy Eustace, these kind of like classic hurdlers, Bouvardere, who's injured at the moment in the same stable, I don't think she'd put it up to him. And she wasn't even in a lot of the form books back in the autumn when they were looking at horses for the champion hurdle. She's almost became favourite by default, but you can't knock her for winning the way she did. And it's not a case of other horses really disappointed. Like Soleil Emery was rooted from chasing to running it. You had a couple of 5-year-olds, Pentland Hills and Care Sublime. The Triumph hurdle form didn't work out. Super Sunday is probably a bit too old at 10 years of age. And with the way the race looked, actually, in hindsight, it looks like the race actually went to form. If you forgave her for that Cheltenham run last year, which she put to bed.
We had a great race to kick things off. Shishkin's win, excitement all the way.
It was great. Yeah, it was great. It was a strange one because Asterion Forlange, the favourite, kept on jumping out to his right and jumped out to his right so much that eventually he bumped into another horse in the JP McManus colours, and then Captain Guinness was brought down. Elixir Dane was the horse that fell under Mark Walsh. And then Shishkin then made a mess of one of the flights, and Abracadabras looked like he was going to win the race under Davy Russell in the maroon colours for Gordon Elliott. But Shishkin is a very talented horse who'd been unbeaten coming into the race and came from the point scene in Ireland, and a ding-dong finish, and it was just a short head between them on the line, a 1 and a photo finish, and about 11 lengths then back to the third horse, which was Chantry House. So Shishkin will be one for the future. To win like that on heavy ground, I think he wants much better ground, and I think he's going to be some chaser in time, Shishkin. It was a good winner.
Yeah. I talked to us then about the mare's hurdle, Honeysuckle.
Well, this was the story of the day.
Yeah. Tom Malone, even this morning, I know, kind of felt there was good value in Honeysuckle.
Tom Malone is the man.
He's having a good day, John.
Tom Malone it's Tom's day, and well done, Tom. Tom had 3 winners. He'd the conditional, he'd Honeysuckle, and he'd Shishkin. So fair play to Tom. He knows the stuff.
So Benitez, interesting comments from Willie Mullins after this race. Yeah. So explain all this. Maybe get sum up the race, and then we'll get into Willie's comments.
Well, the race is a mare's hurdle. It's over 2.5 miles, and Honeysuckle went into the race unbeaten. She'd won the Irish Champion Hurdle, beating Darver Star. So when Darver Star ran third in the Champion Hurdle, that was a positive sign for Honeysuckle. The talk was that Honeysuckle would run in the Champion Hurdle, but Kenny Alexander, the owner, and Henry de Bromhead, the trainer from Waterford, and they decided to go for the mare's race, which was seen as an easier race. It was seen as a match between herself and Benny Judd. The only race Benny Judd ever lost under rules was when she fell in the race last year, when she had the race at her mercy. She won the race the previous year. She hammered a field at Goran the last time. So between Benny and Honey, it was an absolute match between the two of them. And what happened was, it's quite a tactical race. There wasn't much speed in the race. And then that did not play into Benny's hands, but it did play into Honey's hands. And then Honey, under Rachel Blackmore, scooted up the inside, and then her resolution was fantastic to deny Benny closing Benny Judd up the running.
So Willie Mullen said maybe there was miscommunication turning for home, and really pointed the finger to a point. I don't want to overstate things either, at Robbie Power.
Well, it's a very gentlemanly game, Joe, and no names were mentioned. But I get the sense there might have been a feeling that Stormy Ireland, who Robbie Power was riding, might have set a stronger pace and might have shut the door. But maybe he didn't know that Honeysuckle was going to go in on the inside. Look, these things are the heat of the moment. I think there was huge disappointment in the Benny Judd camp. Willie Mullen said he wouldn't be watching the race again. And given he said after the Goran win that she's the best mare potentially he'd ever trained, it must be real disappointment now that Honeysuckle has lifted the mare's hurdle. But once again, a great win for Rachel Blackmore. She is such a positive rider. She's such a great positive rider. Was great on those chase wins last year in Manila, Indo, and Plutar. And she did it again today with that really positive ride on Honeysuckle. And she's as good as any of them, Joe.
I suspect it's a relief for her as well, because she spoke afterwards about the different expectations on her this year as opposed to last year. And this year she has a lot of good rides, and there is an expectation she will have winners. And you could almost sense the delight, of course, but also the relief to get one chalked up on day one. So we'll keep a very close eye on Blackmore across the week. As for tomorrow, Queen Mother Champion Chase, Altior is the story.
But he's out. He's not running. So it's a bit of real disappointment, because he was going to attempt to win at the festival for a 5th time. No horse had won 3 champion chases since the 1980s. That record still stands, Badsworth Boy. Altior won the last 2 renewals of the race, was found to be lame. In other words, in English, that he'd a leg injury on Sunday, but a kind of a minor leg injury, but a swelling on the leg. That can clear up, and it cleared up a couple of years ago for him. But it didn't clear up in time, and Nicky Henderson, his trainers, decided not to go. Yeah. What it means is that we effectively have another match between Willie Mullins' trained horse, Chacun Pour Soi, and a Philip Hobbs trained horse in England called Defi de Soy in the colours of JP McManus. It looks like another Honeysuckle Benny Judd situation. It looks like another match for the champion chase. A race Willie Mullins has never won.
Okay, so that's going to be a big storyline potentially tomorrow. What else are we looking at for tomorrow?
Tiger Roll, another horse that's going for 5 wins at the festival, and he's such an amazing horse. He's sometimes we in racing can be a little bit purist in the way we approach things, and not realise that it is a bit of a minority sport. Cheltenham is one of those weeks when it's on the front page and the back page, and Tiger Roll is one of these horses over the last few years that's become a front page horse. He's won the Grand National twice. He's going for a hat-trick if the Grand National happens. And he's going to win the cross-country chase tomorrow for a 3rd year in a row. It's a kind of a unique style race. They go in like up and down banks, and like they jump unusual fences, and they're constantly turning, and it does take a bit of a specialist to win. But Tiger Roll is full of enthusiasm. He's odds on. He's one of the big stories tomorrow. The champion chase is another big story, and there's 2 other stories really. The bumper is always a story, because it was a race introduced in 1992 to give Irish trained horses a better chance of winning races at Cheltenham, because we weren't winning them back then. How things have changed. And Willie Mullins has won the race 9 times. He's gone for a 10th with a horse called Appreciated, who's been really, really impressive at Leopardstown the last time. He's a short price favourite, but Willie had a short price favourite today called Carefully Selected, who got beaten. The bumper is a strange one. It's a flat race. It's not out. There's no hurdles. There's no fences. It's called a bumper. It's always been more of an Irish thing. They don't really have as many of them in England, and a lot of unexposed types. What that means in The vernacular is that you have a lot of horses that haven't shown, maybe only run once and maybe won or been second or third, but they haven't possibly shown their true potential. So sometimes you can get a lurker in there at a big price that can win. And the other story tomorrow is Envoy Allen. This horse has never been beaten under rules. He beat Abracadabras earlier on in the season in the novice hurdle. Abracadabras ran really well today, and he won the bumper last year. He won that race, the bumper, Envoy Allen, last year. Gordon Elliott trains him, and he'll have Davy Russell in the saddle, and he's a really exciting horse, and he really could be a Gold Cup horse. He could be a champion chaser. He could be one of the stars. He's got a really relaxed attitude, and he's odds on again.
Now, just a last point then, John. I saw the crowd slightly down. I might probably not have been noticeable to the naked eye, but at the moment, obviously, sporting events are falling by the wayside by the minute, really, or else they're going behind closed doors very quickly. It was, in that context, I think it jarred with a lot of people to see the crowds milling about together at Cheltenham today. Is there any word on potentially going behind closed doors over the next few days, or everybody tight-lipped, or is there a sense that we're going ahead as planned? What has been the communication?
I think communication's been that, and I asked Ian Renton this, the boss at Cheltenham, that it's all systems go until Friday with the crowds. I think that I might get the sense here that they either were going to hold the festival, which they're doing now, or they were going to call it off. Okay. That's my sense. Yeah. What I will say, Joe, is that crowds were down from 67,000 to 60,000 today. It was a little bit muted. But I do this tweet every year, like, welcome to the jungle. I've done it probably for the last 10 years on Twitter, that, it's the Cheltenham Festival. It's a really big deal. I put that tweet out at about 20 past 1 just before the first race. And the amount of reaction I've got to it from people really real displeasure. Yeah. From no, I just know don't have the social media sphere or Twitter sphere, or I don't know what to read into that. But
no, I think it's a general feeling, actually. Yeah, I don't think it's a Twitter thing. I think there's a general feeling now as the seriousness of the situation takes hold. It's strange to watch huge crowds.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening in Liverpool tomorrow night, for example. But there's a lot of people who are. I put out the tweet innocently, and to kind of mark what should be an enjoyable occasion. But I think that obviously we're in a much more serious situation now, and maybe we might look back upon this week and see and say, well, was it worth doing this? But that we're in the lap of the gods really around those judgments.
Well, exactly. We will talk to you tomorrow, John. I know you're back in the Cheltenham show, thanks to Paddy Power, every morning. So 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, OTB Sports Radio and offtheball.com as well. And I suspect we'll be talking around this time tomorrow as well, John. Thanks a mil.
All right, guys. Thanks, Joe.
Cheers. John Duggan there at Cheltenham. Short ad break. Myself and Damien Delaney talking Spurs, Leipzig in just a moment.
Off the Ball on News Talk.